All right, lads, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about Frankie in Egghead. So I feel like this is going to be Frankie's arc. Oh, I realize I'm still wearing the bag. Well, however, I feel like this is going to be Frankie's arc, in my opinion, to be honest with you. Because it's a big tech focused arc, and why not have Frankie have an arc now? Because he hasn't really gotten a proper arc for himself since MS Lobby, and even at that, the main focus of that arc was Robin. So it'd be good to actually focus on Frankie and maybe have Vegapunk, talk to him and he kind of understands things he might have missed out on. Because we know he lost time and he didn't get everything done in Vegapunk's Island. And maybe Vegapunk will be excited because there's someone who can continue on his legacy, because we do know he said he's going to die in 1064. So there's a lot to be said. Vegapunk might be happy that there's someone like him out there again. He might give Frankie his secrets, or he'll get an, or he'll like or this will just help Frankie evolve further. I don't know if we're gonna see any power ups from the Queen, like, cause Sanji did say that Frankie would love Queen tech. So I don't know if we're gonna see Frankie actually use those power ups and who he might fight against. I don't really know who he could go up against because there's only three major CP0 opponents. He might go up against the Kuma Seraphim, but I don't know. But I do think at the end of this arc, at least, we're going to see a massive power up. First thing I believe is because the Blackbeard pirates are up now, and I said this in the I said this when the chapter came out. I said we, my guy Frankie is fighting Saffron Wolf. I believe that's the name. The big giant guy, the Marine Ford that just peeked out the corner like, "Hello, bitches." You know what I mean? So like, he's probably gonna end up fighting. He's probably gonna end up fighting him in like a giant General Frankie robot, like Vegapunk does there, because we saw he found it really, really cool. So he's probably gonna try and emulate it, and he's probably gonna use the Queen tech to advance his technology to a state where he can basically just fire off the General Frankie beams all the time. So I feel like Frankie's gonna get to a point like Frankie, in my opinion, after this arc might breach of the top 30. Now, we'll see. I don't know. Frankie is an actual beast, and people underrate him like hell, even me, to be honest with you. I think by the end of this arc, he'll be like taking down Queen. If he was in the situation that Sanji was in, he would take down Queen. By the end of this arc, I actually think so. I feel like Frankie is going to be the second best scientist in the verse after this arc. That's it. Even if Queen and all them are still alive, if Caesar is still alive, he might even be better than, he won't be better than Vegapunk by the end of this arc, but he's definitely going to be close. 100%. And I think this is going to be great for Frankie, personally. I think to be able to get a really good fight, we might even see him fight the giant robot. Imagine if it's just General Frankie versus the giant robot, and he's like running up the leg, and like while he's running up, he's like inspecting it, so he's like learning all the technologies, and he learns through a battle. Like maybe Vegapunk antagonizes him at the start. It could be a situation here where, let's say, Vegapunk antagonizes the Straw Hats to see how they fare, because like, you're Dragon's kid. I need to see if you're anything like your father or something like that, right? So he kind of tests the Straw Hats, and his way of testing the Straw Hats is through the giant robot, for example. And maybe we get like, because they did mention ores, well, at least in the anime they mentioned ores, so he has been mentioned in the latest few arcs. But I will say it'd be cool to see Frankie, like General Frankie, or even just regular Frankie, like running up to the giant and like punching the giant while inspecting him and trying to figure out what's up with him. Because we got a cool fight against Sasaki, to be fair, and Frankie's fights are always fun to watch. But I do think a giant versus giant fight is going to be fantastic for Frankie. And I don't know if it's going to happen in this arc, because there's a lot of talk because Blackbeard's showing up again. If Blackbeard will show up here, I don't think so. I feel like he'll show up in the next diamond, wherever that is, whether that's Hachinosu, whether that's Elbath, whatever. But I do feel like Saffron Wolf is a perfect opponent for Frankie, as he's going to beat the living. There's going to be it's going to be a fist fight between like giants, and that shit's going to be so, so, so cool. I also think this arc, as we know, is probably going to end off Sanji's character arc. I haven't actually talked about that much because I don't have a lot to say on that, to be honest with you. He could come to grips with his the grief of losing his mother fully, and he could come to grips with exactly who he is, and maybe how the obsession with science changed his father. Because maybe his father was at some point a good man, but what happened at Mads changed his entire character. And that would be interesting to grapple with, because if, let's say, for example, the Sanji has to come to terms with the idea that his dad wasn't always a bad person and science corrupted him. And this could in turn be a lesson for Franky, right? Because Franky then learns the limits, how he should limit himself in science and how he shouldn't lose his way. I feel like both Vegapunk and Judge are going to be great examples for Franky on how to do science right. You know, don't lose your way, don't lose your personality. He might even be against cloning, you never know. That might be a stance we see Franky take in this arc because he doesn't agree with it. He doesn't agree with emulating the individual because it's you are your individual. You shouldn't change that. We could see that. And maybe he works on himself. But aside from that though, I do think this is going to be a really good arc for Franky. You know what I mean? And as I've said before, there's a lot to be done. And I feel like you can actually, as I said, with the Sora stuff and with the Judge stuff, it's going to be easy to play the Sanji and Franky stuff alongside each other because Vegapunk is going to be revealing stuff for the both of them. So I'm very excited to see where that goes and how it's handled. But what do you guys think? How do you think Franky is going to be handled in this arc? I'm very excited, personally. I really want to see Franky succeed and do some really super stuff. Oh, I hit off the mic. Oh, ain't that great. Some super stuff. I'm pretty... did that fuck up the audio? Let me check. Let me check. No, we're good. All right. But I do want to see Franky shine in this arc, especially with that fit. You know what I mean? But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments below. With that being said, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.